Thank you again for joining us at another episode on Franchise Vibes, all things franchises and everything in between. So today, I'm very excited for our next guest. The vibes we're on today is visionary vibes. So we're going to take you from music dreams to business reality. And we're going to do this with the wonderful Tawanda Thomas. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for joining us. And please tell us more about yourself and your journey to becoming the founder of New York Musician Center.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Tawanda Thomas, and I am the founder and CEO of the New York Musician Center. We have been operating for the last almost 18 years, and it has been quite a journey. I first started off as a music college student who came to New York City with just the dreams of starting something based around music, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with that, but they say that sometimes desperation breeds inspiration, and I found myself as a young mom in New York City for the first time needing to make rent. And so that was the first time I learned that I had to figure out how to put my skills to monetize them. And so what I knew how to do was to make music, and I started teaching other people from my little railroad style apartment in Queens, New York. And then we moved out to Long Island, where we serviced our local boys and girls clubs with the music program. And fast forward now, we have 2 locations. We are based out of Long Island with 1 location in Belmore, as well as another location in Rockville Center. And we service over 1,100 students every single week. And it has been quite an amazing journey. So I'm really excited to share more about that today.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about that, on what inspired you to start your own music school.
I was very fortunate. I had a great friend who she was very business minded. And I'll never forget, I was 20 years old and she said, "You have got to form an LLC." I didn't know what an LLC was, but she was like, "Girl, you just have to do it. Just put it together, figure out the details later." And so that's what I did. And so I wasn't quite sure what that was going to look like, but through that process of teaching music lessons to kids and to elderly people in my apartment, I just ended up realizing that I needed more help. I needed other people. And so once I started bringing in more people on my team, then I started learning about the processes of what you need to have a successful business. And we ended up growing the team from just me to now we have over 75 of us. And it's really, really cool to be able to operate 7 days a week now and providing a service that's really meaningful in the community.
So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you faced in turning your dream into reality, and how did you overcome them?
I think resilience is going to be the #1 resounding thing that I can say for every challenge that I've had. So the first challenges that I faced were money, how to figure out how to get the money to start a business, to open a business and operate a business and market a business. And I just had to get scrappy and bootstrap and figure out where do I have money? Where do I have maybe monetary assets? Where can I pull from, and what resources can I pull from that I do have? So being resilient and persistent and resourceful were really, really important. But along the way, I've faced all sorts of other challenges that new business owners face, everything from employee theft to finding out that people around me might not have been always in my corner and looking out for my business's success, and even a lot more challenges from the COVID shutdown and trying to put 700 students on Zoom lessons overnight. There just have been a lot of different hurdles that, again, persistence, resilience, and really being resourceful have been the 3 things that have really pushed us through and helped us be successful when some other places, I mean, we know how frequently businesses close down, and oftentimes it's because one of those 3 things is missing, if not all of them.
Wow, amazing. So were there any key moments in your journey that you felt were pivotal in transforming your idea into a thriving business?
So when I first started, I was just operating based on just what I knew, which you don't know what you don't know. So it wasn't until I started going online and searching, okay, how do you get a customer? How do you get a music student as a customer? How do you, sell music lessons to families? And I really had to dig into my business education, which I went to school for music education, and I never learned anything. I mean, I did take one accounting class, and almost failed it, but you get a hard knock education in that you can relate.
Guilty. Math was not my forte. Oh my gosh.
Mine either. But there's something different about when all of a sudden it's you and your budget and paying your people, and all of a sudden all those things that you couldn't understand on paper, you're getting this real life experience. And so one of the things that I'm most excited about with franchising is back when I had that pivotal moment of realizing that I had to really develop my skills as a business owner and my business education and also my personal development, that was really what changed things for us and made me focus on a process and how can I educate the people who work for me and even future franchisees so that way they don't have to struggle the way that I did, because entrepreneurial poverty is a real thing, and people will work so hard trying to make something work just because they don't have a process. So I'm excited about eliminating that for many people.
Wow, you said a few things, a few key things actually. Well, one, it reminds me of, and I say this often, and I know someone else who's also a franchisor who says the same thing, that it can't be passion alone, right? Like you cannot just, build a business and just on passion. It has to be a little bit more than that. But it's great when you're able to marry the two. So you realizing that and focusing on an area that you weren't familiar with, is incredibly smart and strategic. I'm curious also to know if you had any mentors or advisors who helped you guide you through the process and just how important their support was.
Absolutely. I think having a mentor is vital in the process because you need to find someone who has already accomplished what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I've had mentors from, I could think of someone who was a mentor in the community, very affluent in the music education space, and being able to try and follow in her footsteps and figure out this is how you treat people, which I'm in a very big people business. And this is, she taught me a lot about what to expect from students in music education and really making sure that they have a rigorous program that also keeps them excited about learning about music. So that was very, very helpful. But then I had to get a slew of business education mentors as well, who have been extremely helpful in teaching me how do you advertise? How do you handle customer service issues? And also not just getting a mentor, but hopefully through finding the right mentor, you'll end up with a network of other people who do what you do. And that way you can learn from them and build out your community of people who you network with. But I think that's been the most important thing for me with having a mentor. And lastly, after the music mentor and the business mentor has been my personal development mentors who really have helped me to learn that you really have to continue growing as a person to be able to withstand everything that passion won't take care of while you're running a business.
Right, right. And speaking of passion, so because music is obviously a passion for you, how did you balance your love for music with the demands of running a business?
This is actually one that I work on every single day because I'm a singer, I'm a pianist, and of course, as you get older and you are really, whether you're in business for yourself or you are just someone's employee, it becomes more challenging to spend time on your craft. But what I think has been really awesome about this type of business is that even if I don't get to make music all the time, like I would when I was younger and would practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day, now I get to see it passed on to so many different students. And it's really, really cool to be able to watch them at performances and our recitals and when we perform at Carnegie Hall and just see this magical moment and that you're gifting it to the next generation is really a really awesome thing. So it's a balancing act, but you have to build it into your schedule. Whatever it is that you love to do. I mean, I get excited about taking lessons here at my music school and just being near it. And of course, my own children have been able to be a part of the school as well, whether it be taking lessons, and even one now works with me at the school. So it is now not just a balancing act, but it's a real part of who we are.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And so I do want to now kind of shift gears just a little bit and touch on now the franchising piece of it, because one of the key things that you did say that I heard you say was you talked about processes, you talk about making it so that others wouldn't have to go through what you did. And as a franchise broker and consultant, as many of you know, Um, I sing this all the time as far as the differences between when you are starting a business from scratch and when you are going the franchising route. However, franchises are small businesses. There are businesses that went through the pain, that went through the process, that and now has a blueprint on this is how you do it right, and which is why it's successful. So what I also emphasize for those that have a business that come to me because they want to franchise their business is that understanding of, well, now you're not in the day-to-day really, or you're not in the business the same way anymore. Now you are a franchisor and your goals are now thinking about your franchisees. And so it's a different type of mind shift. So I do want you to talk about that a little bit. And also just talk about what motivated you to start franchising the New York Music Center. I'm sorry, the New York Musician Center. And what made you feel like it was the right time to expand?
So one thing that told me that franchising was the route to go was because I realized I was spending a lot of time trying to refine our processes and to make sure that everything was replicatable. What really initially made me think that it was something that I was capable of doing very well and really being able to focus on the support of franchisees is because when I actually opened up my first location, I was a full-time public school educator and then administrator. And I opened it up, but realized that we couldn't be successful if we were only open during the hours when I wasn't working. So again, I had to build a team and I had to have the blueprint in place so that other people could run it in my absence. So I really had to spend an awful lot of time in refining the processes and even how to build the culture that I wanted to see, even if I wasn't physically in the building all the time. So I knew it was something that I wanted to do. And people had asked me if I was interested in franchising. And I started doing a little bit more homework and realizing there's a big hole in the market. There's a lot of boom in the children education space right now, but you're not going to find a bunch of music schools. I mean, really, there's one heavy hitter that you see, and most of the others you've never heard of. And we have a unique program. A lot of music schools are kind of small. They may service up to about 100 students each week. They may have a couple of different rooms and the owner's the one, maybe the only person there teaching with maybe one or two other people. But that didn't allow for an opportunity where people could bring multiple children at one time and have all of their musical needs met in one space. And so we've really focused on growing a program that wasn't like any others out there. And we focus on having a lot of value in our school. There are a lot of parents who have disposable income and want to invest in their children and want to have the red carpet experience so that their children can build their confidence and skills along the way. So that's really what got me excited about franchising. And I've always tried to improve everything that we do. And at the heart of things, I've always been an educator for almost 20 years. And so teaching people how to be successful is something that is really, really important to me. And so it only naturally fits for me to expand through franchising.
Awesome. And I'm so glad that you did touch on that, because that's the next thing that I try to explain is that, well, what is your unique factor? I think there is a misconception that, just, hey, you got a business, just franchise it. And it's like, no, well, why would someone else want your business? What sets you apart from others? So it is important for you to have not only your processes streamlined, but what is the unique factor of it, and really make sure that you have that. So I'm very glad that you did touch on that. So what are some unique challenges though that you faced as transitioning from running a single location to launching a franchise system?
I think it's realizing that number one, it's not just you anymore, and it's someone else's baby, and really hoping that you can meet the right candidates who will think like you, but they're not going to quite think like you, but who will have a desire to be successful, who will have the stomach for being able to handle business, because some people may think that by going the franchise route that they can just open up and the franchisor is just basically going to take care of everything for them, but they have to be able to stomach the challenges of running a business, the challenges of in this particular industry. Our biggest thing is having the music teachers that you need. So do you have the team that you need? Being able to keep with demand for hiring, because as your school is always growing, it means that you always need to be hiring and recruiting really great people. And so I think the challenges that we have now is, replicating everything, but also realizing that now we are going to have to work even harder to uphold those standards for the success of many people, which is even better. We want a huge community impact, and I think that this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, and that actually transitioned very well into my next question. When I take someone through the process, and I have through my consultation, the questions that I'm asking is to gain some clarity and to also pull out what their transferable skills and things that they're passionate about and things of that nature. So I think about what do you look for in a potential franchisee, and what makes them the right fit for your brand? Because what I also think about is the fact of sometimes it's the assumption that, hey, you have to be a school teacher to do a business like this. But really, there's other aspects of your backgrounds and your skills and things that you are passionate about that's going to transition well. It can very well be someone maybe in the health industry as well. So I know that was long-winded. So I'm going to ask again, what do you look for in your potential franchisees, and what makes someone the right fit for your brand?
We look for someone who, first of all, they have to have high integrity, someone who is caring, someone who has an affinity for music or education. It might be a teacher of any subject matter, someone who maybe ran a childcare or worked in childcare, someone who maybe a therapist. We do music therapy as well, but you can come from so many different backgrounds. You don't have to have a music background. We find it helpful if someone is not afraid of sales, or if they're willing to hire a sales team, because you will have to, sell. We also look for someone who's willing to learn and has a desire to keep learning, because we do train on things like marketing and the systems in the business. So most importantly in this business, we look for someone who can communicate very clearly and be very level-headed, because when you're dealing with children, it's something that's very, very sensitive for parents. And it may seem like something that, we're just selling music lessons, but for parents, it's something that they are very, very, very passionate about. And if there's a challenge, whether it be with the schedule or with the teacher or anything like that, you need someone who can speak clearly and represent themselves calmly with families, because families, especially if they bring their students in for music lessons, they are probably artistic, they are creative, and that brings passion. Sometimes passion brings emotion. So we definitely look for someone who is a kind-natured person, but willing to work hard. And again, as I said earlier, someone who can stomach being in business for themselves and deal with the hard days and get back up the next day and keep going.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm so glad you even touched on the sales part of it, because it's beyond me, but it's like, sometimes you mention the word sales and they're ready to put up the crucifix, like, no, not sales. But to be honest, if you're going into business, you're just going to have you have to have a palate for sales. And if it's not you, then be prepared to put the right people in that space. As someone that has, I have a very varied background in sales as well. I just naturally saw, how it's hand in hand when it comes to owning and running a business and being profitable in the business, how important marketing and sales would be. So you did touch a little bit on the support and training. So this is something I also guide my clients, just to let to tell them basically that they should have a good understanding of what that looks like in any brand that they're considering to own. So can you tell us a little bit more on the types of support and training that you provide for your franchisees to ensure that they succeed in the business?
So when someone first gets started with us, if they do decide to take the opportunity of owning a New York Musician Center, we begin with an initial training with them, and where we bring them into our headquarters and allow them to, even on Discovery Day, being able to just take a look at how things run to see, is this the type of environment that I would want to be in? If they feel that, yes, this is awesome, then we move on. And again, we provide training for them with my team. You mentioned that you learned about sales being so important with it, and I am not the main seller here at my locations. And so I would make sure that there's sales training. I will provide the marketing training. We also provide training on what our processes are and our brand so that everyone is on the same page and understands how we operate things, as well as operational training that they need to know how to operate day to day, and basic training that somebody may be unsure about, like how to keep your books. So not only do they come in-house to headquarters and train with us, but then we go to them on site. Once they have a site getting ready to launch, we do training there as well for several days. We make sure that we are there on grand opening day. And then of course there's ongoing training after that. And I think that training is really important because especially in this industry, I heard someone once say, in this industry, every 6 months, things have to be different. And unfortunately with the world, things change. And so it's really important that we can provide ongoing support and meeting with our franchisees and making sure that if someone is struggling in an area, that they know that they do have someone that they can reach out to and can go back to the drawing board with them and provide any additional training that's needed, as well as any additional training that's needed for their people. If they're having someone who they really want to invest in within their company who needs some assistance, we want to make sure that they have that available. And we can be there, but the most wonderful thing in this day and age is that we also have Zoom. And so
Yes.
we can pop on a call, or having access to be able to call the franchisor in the middle of the night and say, I have an emergency, how do we navigate this? And being able to have that access to someone is really important, and one of the most exciting things that I'm excited about with working with franchisees.
All right. So how do you ensure that the quality and culture of the New York Musician Center are maintained across franchise locations as you scale?
So that they say you have to inspect what you expect, and so we do look forward to being able to train people on exactly what our expectations are and being very clear with them. But again, you have to inspect what you expect, and so you have to have very, very clear communication with between franchisor and franchisee of what's expected, and whether it be through coming out and visiting every 6 months or quarterly, bringing them in-house to see if they need an opportunity to review what something should look like or what something should feel like. But it's very important, in my opinion, that we have compliance standards in process, and we do have someone in the role that is able to go through and provide a grading system to show them, okay, this is what you're doing really well, and this is what needs a little bit of improvement. This is what it looks like. How can we help? And that's the most important thing. People don't want to feel like it's a gotcha thing. They want to feel like there's support for them. And our greatest need is to see our franchisees be successful. So that's really important.
Awesome. So how has this entrepreneurial journey shaped you as a person? Are there lessons you've learned that have a profound impact on your life?
Oh, it has shaped every part of me. It's shaped who I am and what I hope that I stand for as a person. I've learned in this business of dealing with so many people. Again, when you have over 1,100 families that you work with each week, and it's over 75 people on your team who also have families, and then franchisees who also have family and employees. You're dealing with a lot of people, and unfortunately, people are human, and sometimes they will disappoint, and that's okay. Oftentimes, you have people who are working really, really hard who want to support you. So I think the biggest thing is learning to surround myself with people who are supportive, learning to be a support to other people, and really to focus on having a better life and keeping really great standards of excellence just for myself, for my company, for my franchisees, and for everybody around me. Because the goal here is for everyone to be able to know that they can live at the summit. And one of the greatest ways of doing that and living a wonderful life, which being a business owner is something that is really fulfilling. But you have to work toward it. And that also means you have to continuously work on yourself. So continuous improvement is one of our core values, and really a focus of what I think makes a successful person and a successful franchisee.
Great. So let's talk about legacy and just what's next. Like, what do you hope the legacy of the New York Musicians Center would be?
hope that people will think of me and think of how I gave them opportunities to shine. And we always say in my business, we want to see everyone shine on any stage and at every stage of their life, whether they are a 4 or 5 year old or whether they are an 80-year-old who just came back to take voice lessons so that they can sing great in the choir on Sunday. Whatever someone's goal is, we want them to feel like they can shine. And so that's what we really focus on. We want them to feel like professional musicians. Doesn't matter what age they are, but when we have students who go with us to Carnegie Hall or who perform with us in places like on our Italy tour that we just had recently, or when they walk the red carpet before our shows that we do, or on their professional musician picture day each year, we want them to feel like stars and like they've really worked for something really great and it's proving to really matter, and they can carry those things over to other areas of life. So I love when I see it. I see it a lot on, again, like those Carnegie Hall days or afterwards when everyone's a buzz and they just feel like they've had a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I love hearing from parents the thanks for giving their families those opportunities. And so I hope that's the legacy that I leave, is that other people had an opportunity because of a teacher.
Oh, wow. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, as we wrap up, definitely want to get your any final thoughts, but what's the one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur, particularly those like you that are just looking to take their passion into a thriving franchise?
So I would say two things. First of all, be persistent. Be persistent, be persistent. Don't ever give up. And number two, take action. Take a lot of action. It doesn't matter if it's something small. It may feel defeating if you do something that doesn't work. But the best part of business is that if you keep on going, you keep on trying different things, that you will find success. And lastly, one that I did not say before was, as we mentioned before about the mentor, find a great mentor who inspires you and who wants you to exceed what it is that they've accomplished, because they're going to be a conduit to other people who you can meet in your life who will help you get to that level. And once you find your tribe, you find your people, then you will be able to be successful no matter what it is that you're inspired to do in business.
Awesome. That's a beautiful ending to this. And I would just add, if it is truly the franchise route, then you should be calling me. But a lot of this has been amazing. I love doing, these types of and highlighting these types of businesses because I really want people to understand how diverse the industry is and to see themselves in it. And I thought that this was just a wonderful session. So I'm glad we originally met after I was at the Jacob Javits for the Franchise Expo, and I did diversity in minorities. What was the name of it?
It was a great session.
It was a great session. It was a great session, and it was on diversity and franchising. And Talonda was there. So we connected from there. So, again, this was wonderful. And thank you so much. And again, so if anyone is interested in learning more, there's going to be links there that you can definitely click in. Let's connect and talk about if this may be your next business to own.